Welcome everyone to the first broadcast of Bvtw. I'll be your host, Blue. We've got a lot of action, so let's get right into it. Sad story this last week as the world's leading fartrepreneur, Stephanie Matto, found herself in the hospital due to severe gas. Authorities caught wind of the situation after neighbors called in with reports of minor earthquakes in the area surrounding Matto's property. Matto later commented that she knew something was wrong when the American government invaded her home and tried to install a pipeline in her living room. The story came to a tragic end when Matto asked her nurse to pull her finger, and the ensuing blast leveled 3 city blocks. I know we all need gas money, but this is ridiculous. Surprising news in the entertainment industry last week as the Hollywood Foreign Press announced there would be no in-person watchable Golden Globe event this year. Instead, they just posted about all the winners online like everyone else. It doesn't bug me much, really. The only Golden Globes that I want to see belong to Addison Rae. Speaking of movie news, the LA premiere of the new Scream movie was canceled due to COVID concerns. But in a statement on Twitter, a representative of the movie said the premiere should continue as scheduled if everyone wears their masks. Nice try, Ghostface. You're not gonna get us that easy. You know, it's weird actually at this point that the dangerous ones are the ones wearing a mask. Scream wasn't the only project that was affected by COVID recently. Star Trek Picard has shut down their filming after over 50 individuals tested positive for COVID. That's right, even in the 24th century, COVID still exists. Set phasers to dumb, am I right? Another story out of Hollywood as rapper Jim Jones said in an interview that his mom taught him how to French kiss. Bruh. I, for one, am disgusted. Everyone knows that you meet up with your cousin at the family reunions and practice kissing in the closet like a normal person. Former child star Frankie Muniz was also in the news recently after he talked about his memory loss. Originally, he suspected it was because of his 9 concussions. Makes sense, but now he believes it's just because he did so much in that time period that he can't really remember all of it. Frankie, if it makes you feel any better, I can't remember anything you did either. It turns out that Elmo has found himself in some hot water as well after some controversial footage was shared on the internet where he was shown trying to take a cookie from a girl's pet rock. He was shown yelling that Rocco the Rock wouldn't be able to eat because he, quote, doesn't have a mouth. He even stood his ground by saying, and I quote, "Rocco is just a rock. Rocco is not alive." I don't know about you folks, but I will not stand to see one of Dwayne Johnson's relatives be treated in such a way. Elmo will likely be forced to take a break from social media and spend some time learning about how to be more culturally sensitive to the Boulder community. Before we move on with the rest of the news, let's go over to Loki with an update on the weather.
It's snowing.
Thanks, Loki. Speaking of snow, we've got a heroic story out of my home, Canada, this weekend as a husband thanks his wife for shoveling the snow in the driveway after her 12-hour shift at the hospital. You know, it's so rare to see the wife get the credit they deserve. Now, a lot of people were upset that she was the one clearing the driveway after her 12-hour shift. And maybe there's a point there. But then I found out that the husband is actually a government official, and it all made sense. He was just supervising the work like a good government worker does. Good job, John. You've done your country proud. And a lot of people were wondering why he hadn't shoveled the snow before she even got home, or even why he didn't join her to help her out. And it turns out he had stayed up late watching the Canadian team play tennis in the semifinals. That's just called being patriotic, folks. You should try it sometime. Moving over to a warmer climate, when a man in Australia went golfing last week, he went back to his golf bag only to find that a giant crab was there, destroying one of his clubs. Let that be a warning to all the men out there looking for a good time in Australia. If you're not safe, you could end up having massive crabs destroying your shaft. Hard to hide that one from your girlfriend. In other news, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, earned almost $100 million last year, which is over 500% more than the year before. Finally, a white man cashes in big, am I right? Next, we have an amazing story out of the show Amazing Race. The new season features Ryan Ferguson, a man who spent a decade in prison for a murder that he did not commit. When he was casted, Ferguson said he was overjoyed to go on such an incredible journey. In the first leg, contestants flew to London, but when they landed, they noticed that Ferguson was gone. All he had left behind was a note saying, "Catch me if you can, suckers." Another interesting story in the world of crime on the weekend, as the BTK documentary came out with BTK himself, Dennis Rader, sharing his own take on the events. If you're unfamiliar, he pled guilty in 2005 of killing 10 people to fulfill his sexual fantasies. Kinky. He states that he does indeed think he's a monster, but that he's also a good person who did some bad things. Of course, that's why they call him BTK. Bind, torture, kindness. And of course, what have all of our moms said out there? Exactly. Kill them with kindness. He also went on to say that the monster was really inside his head. He calls it Factor X. And I mean, we've all got that thing in our head that we give into sometimes. Mine tells me to eat chocolate and cake. His tells him to kill random people. I will say, though, chocolate and cake, murder on the hips, though. Am I right, ladies? It just kills my diet. In other news, it's our featured story of the night. Jared Fogle, otherwise known as Subway Jared, recently had a letter leaked about his experience in prison. Of course, he was convicted in 2015 for over 15 years for child porn and child sex tourism. In his letter, he talks about how he runs at least 4 miles a day. Not because he wants to. He has to outrun the other inmates who are trying to chase him down. Not the most popular crime to be convicted of in prison. He also says that he's been eating healthier, avoiding junk food and such, but assures his young fans out there he'll always keep his van fully stocked with candy. Finally, he also states that really he just misses the little things. What a heartwarming sentiment, Jared. I'm sure you do miss the little things. That is so sweet that you have a pet name for them. That brings us to the end of the news this week. If you have any news stories you want me to cover next week, shoot me a message or leave a comment below. And since my whole business is making fun of everyone, I encourage everyone else to do the same. Leave your jokes in the comments below. Put your own jokes in there about what we've talked about today, or even turn your aim towards me. If I like what you've done, you might see your post on Twitter, Instagram, or maybe even a video in the future. But that's it for tonight. Thanks for watching. See you next week. And remember, stay true to you. Stay blue.